FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz, and today is May 27th, 2020. Well, the political scene, the lockdowns seem to be abating, but they are not abating in certain states. What does it mean for the election? Will Trump get reelected? Well, there's a new book coming out in just 7 days entitled BLITZ, Trump Will Smash the Left and Win, by our good friend David Horowitz. And we'd like to know what your opinion is on the upcoming election. Why don't you send us an email, kl@kerrylutz.com, kl@kerrylutz.com, and let us know what you think. So, David, welcome back as always. And new book coming out, Trump Will Smash the Left and Win, in just a matter of days. Tell us about it.
And American values are Christian values. And I say this as an agnostic, non-observant Jew. I say it as an American, that our basic freedoms and values, liberty, equality, tolerance, and inclusion, they're all originated as Christian ideas and actually Protestant Christian ideas. Mm-hmm. And you can't really understand their nature if you don't understand that. And the Democratic Party wants to abolish the Electoral College. They also want to commit massive election voter fraud. But Elizabeth Warren infamously said that, she wants one person, one vote. Well, the founders obviously didn't. That's why they created the Senate, which Democrats want to destroy, and other institutions, which we refer to collectively as a system of checks and balances, because they understood that people can be swept up in mass hysteria. You can see it in the anti-Trump mania that's going on the left in this country. Doesn't make any sense. It's deranged. So the founders were very clever. They built sovereign because you don't want one monarch being deranged and having all the power. But they put checks and balances on the will of the people in the hopes of delaying things until everybody calmed down.
So
the new book I have, BLITZ, it's not so much about technically why Trump will win. It doesn't have charts and polls and things like that, which are not very good guides anyway. It's really about the Trump wars, about the war that the Democrats declared on Trump and the permanent coup. This is unprecedented. We've never had a coup d'etat in this country until Obama launched this one. And that's what the book is really about.
Right. So when you're looking at it, the pandemic, never let a crisis go to waste. They seem to think they can ride the pandemic to victory.
Well, they have. And they're trying to shut down the economy to deprive Trump of his major electoral asset. But, one thing my book does say is that you could just cry wolf so many times. I mean, they've kind of shot their anti-Trump wad over and over now. It's going on 4 years that they call this guy all kinds of lunatic names like racist. I mean, how can you call Trump a racist? When he pardoned Alice Johnson, guy, the Democrats had her in jail for 21 years on a nonviolent drug charge. This black grandmother, Trump is responsible for the criminal justice reform known as the First Step Act, which no other Republican or Democrat could have pulled off. Obama had 8 years, and during the 8 years, he didn't have any criminal justice reform, and he didn't let Alice Johnson out of jail. And I could go on and on. There's many other things that Trump's done. But it's anybody looking at Trump, Trump he was a public figure. It's not like he came out of nowhere as an unknown. He was a public figure for 30 or 40 years and a liberal. Well, his money went to liberal causes and liberal candidates. But the liberals have betrayed their own. I don't really want to call it beliefs, because if they were true beliefs, they wouldn't have abandoned them. But positions. The only actual liberals in America today are conservatives who believe there should be two sides to a conversation. The Democrats are shutting down. Just turn on MSNBC or CNN or read the New York Times or the Washington Post. It's all leftism. There's no diversity of viewpoint, which is a kind of fundamental principle of liberalism. Mm-hmm. And in fact, when I was a radical in the 60s, I actually wanted to hear what the other side had to say. I thought it would make me a better radical. But today's radicals and the Democrats, they don't want, how far can you go? Like Kamala Harris and several of them have demanded that Twitter take away Trump's Twitter feed so people can't hear what he has to say. It's unreal. And these are totalitarians.
Yeah. Yeah, like restricting free speech. They seem they're all for free speech except for other people, it seems.
Well, exactly. And that's why the First Amendment, it's the First Amendment for a reason. It's the basis of all of our freedoms. If you can't hold your own opinions and express them, then you can't defend any of your freedoms. That's why it's so crucial. And its foundation is religious liberty. Let's remember that 98% of the people who settled this country were Protestant Christians who were fleeing religious persecution by other religions using the power of the state. That's where our freedoms come from. That's why it's the First Amendment. But for Democrats these days, religious liberty means you can think anything you want so long as you keep it to yourself. The figure who illuminates that most is Vice President Pence and that little snake Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah.
Mayor Pete, who's always he's attacking Pence as a homophobe, whereas there's a lot of public. Well, first of all, Pence was the governor of the state that Mayor Pete is a mayor in, and when he came out as gay, Pence effectively put his arm around him and praised him as a mayor, even though he's a terrible mayor.
Yeah, awful.
He has out of control crime issues in that little town that he is the mayor of, and racism. So, but Pence went out of his way to make him feel comfortable publicly, and he got paid back by being called a bigot. And he's a bigot because he's a Christian who believes that gay marriage is not right. Not that he's done anything. Not that he's actually done anything that's offensive to gay people. Just his views. There's nothing more anti-democratic than that, than condemning somebody just because they disagree with you.
Yeah. Yeah. So. And I think a lot more of the agenda of the left has come out during the pandemic, don't you think?
Well, yeah, I wrote a series of articles on that. We have the war against the invisible virus, which affects everybody. And in a war, the country normally comes together. We have unity, and we fight the war together. We don't fight the war as Democrats or Republicans. But what's happened in this pandemic is that Trump has done this. He's funded all these Democrat governors, provided them with ventilators and masks. That's what the federal government is supposed to do, and money. And fought this ecumenically. But the Democrats have declared war on Trump. They're using the virus to try to destroy Trump. They've even accused him of killing all 100,000 people. Actually, I've been accused of it too for supporting him. But this is disgusting, and it's treasonous. And there's no other way to describe it. In the middle of a war, you attack your commander in chief, and you do it on a partisan basis. That's treason.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of treasonous behavior, what's going to come of Obamagate? Are these people going to be brought to justice?
I think they will prosecute people. I'm not sure. I mean, Obama is the one responsible for it. That's a much trickier question because of the political ramifications of putting Obama in jail, which is where he belongs. I mean, this isn't the only act of treason that Obama's committed.
Mm.
And people should, I mean, I remember when I first realized that Obama had used the intelligence agencies to try to destroy his political opponent, how horrific that is. It's Banana Republic stuff. But, I felt the same way when he gave $200 billion and a path to nuclear weapons to the Hitlerites in Tehran, the Islamic Nazis that run Iran. In the so-called Iran deal, Iran has killed thousands of Americans. Every time you see a wounded warrior and those ads for the wounded warriors, that's somebody who was blown up by an Iranian IED. Mm-hmm. And of course, they attacked the Marine barracks in Lebanon in 1983 and killed, I can't remember the exact number, but it was something like 280 Marines.
Yes.
This is an evil regime, and it's as anti-American as, it's like giving money and a nuclear weapon to Hitler. Mm-hmm. And that's what Obama did. And he did it. He knew he couldn't get it passed. He circumvented the Senate is supposed to ratify treaties. He went to the UN.
Yeah.
So my book, BLITZ, which will be out in 7 days on June 2nd, although it would help the book if anybody out there is interested in what I'm saying here, if you pre-order it. It's really about the transformation of the Democratic Party and why Trump is the first Republican who's been effective in combating it. Usually Republicans roll over when they're attacked and start apologizing, and Trump goes back in their face. I think most people realize this now, that fighting fire with fire is the way to go if you want to survive these incredibly unprincipled, Machiavellian and malicious Democrat attacks.
Yeah. Well, we've seen there's kind of there's no limits now. There's no limits to what they'll say, what they'll do.
None, yeah, and they take no responsibility for what they say. If Trump, he called Hillary Shamu or whatever, mm-hmm. He attacks Pelosi. Pelosi, it's just a response to their viciousness. They want Republicans to have their hands tied. The way they've attacked Trump's Kayleigh McEnany. Press secretary for holding their feet to the fire and saying, why aren't you asking questions about this? She didn't use the word treason, but this treason that's been committed by Obama.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, good question.
They destroyed our press, the left. I was just reading on Breitbart, the co-founder of Wikipedia has pointed out how they destroyed neutrality of Wikipedia. Mm-hmm. Anybody who tries to do research on Google, using Google, will know that you have to go through 3 or 4 or 5 pages, indexes of articles before you find a conservative viewpoint.
Oh, yeah. We know that for sure. That's obvious. Yeah, we're in a war here. Maybe we're not taking up arms yet, like in the Great Civil War.
Well, you can't, you really, I expect I'm surprised there hasn't been more bloodshed. But we can't have a civil war as we did when the Democrats seceded from the Union the last time in 1860, because the federal government has grown so big, nobody can launch a war, either against Trump or for him. They'll be just crushed. Mm-hmm. So the war is a political war. And the weapons are words that destroy your reputation and credibility.
Right.
Accusations that are libels, except we have no libel laws in this country.
Yeah, apparently not. So
no, we don't. I mean, I've been libeled myself so many times.
Oh yeah. Well, forget that.
For those of your listeners who don't understand this, because of Supreme Court rulings, if you call somebody a racist, that's not libel, that's opinion. You have to say they're the number one racist in the country. Then you've made a factual claim, which could open you. But then you have to prove damages. You have to prove that whoever libeled you knew that what they were telling was a lie. That's so easy to prove. So we have no libel laws, and they just feel free. That's why the media is so bad now, because they have no liability legally. Yeah,
well, still they managed to get them, like on the Sandman case. That was an exceptional case.
This is
a minor.
I'm amazed. I mean, I'm thrilled that he won. But, you pick a kid and smear him like that.
Yeah, well, that's why, because he was a minor.
Notice that Indian who was banging a drum in his face.
Yeah.
He got off. He's immune because he's an Indian.
Yeah.
Excuse me, a Native American.
Well, Indian's fine. I kind of buy into that. So what's ahead here? Do you think that Biden is really going to be the nominee?
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
OSI No Resources is a Ross Beatty-backed gold exploration company in mining-friendly Namibia. OSI No's district-scale land package is situated near 2 producing gold mines, one of which OSI No's management team previously developed and sold to B2 Gold. OSI No's founders and management are experienced mining professionals who have already successfully developed and sold 2 companies in the past 7 years. OSI No has a tight share structure, and with its current treasury, it can self-fund the advancement of its gold discovery into at least 2022. This is an exploration company with drills turning that you'll definitely want to pay attention to. OSI No trades in New York under the ticker OSIIF and in Toronto under the ticker OSI. To learn more, go to osinoresources.com. That's osinoresources.com.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
I never have thought that.
Same here. Same here.
Bernie has not given up his delegates, which means that Biden is not going to be able to win the necessary minimum. They have to win 1991 delegates to get the nomination. So there's going to be a second round, and in the second round, the fixes it.
Yeah.
The super delegates vote. So they'll just appoint somebody like Hillary.
Yeah, and Hillary cannot grab the Midwest. They need the Midwest to win. We know this. There's just no way that she can win.
Well,
there.
We don't. Everything now is unknown. I mean, they're going to have this massive election fraud.
Mm-hmm.
It's just insanity. Newsom sent out 21 million ballots to every registered voter. There's probably 1 million questionable already. So there's 1 million people whose registrations aren't proper or correct or no longer live at the addresses or died.
Yes.
So all those ballots will be out there. They're anonymous ballots. So somebody can harvest them, as the technical term, I guess.
Yeah.
Just pick them up, fill in whoever the Democrat is, and win that way. I used to live in California, and I can tell you my brother-in-law is retarded. So his mentality is that of a 5-year-old. And after the 2012 election, and he lives in a home for, I don't know what the technical word, the politically correct word is, but in a home for people whose similarly brains are impaired. And he just dropped at a Thanksgiving dinner that he had just voted for Obama. Mm-hmm. And so we asked him, how did he vote for Obama? He said, well, the people who run the home that he was in, which is a state-run home, told him that if Obama wasn't, they owed everything to Obama. And if Obama wasn't reelected, they would lose their home. And then they bust them to the polls, and the poll officials just let them vote.
Yeah.
Because they were all retarded.
Yep, we've seen that.
One anecdotal case.
It's not that anecdotal. It's a lot more widespread than you ever believed possible. And
Well, apparently there's a Supreme Court decision where they did an investigation and they said that there's 24 million people on the voter rolls who don't belong there.
Yeah, I believe it.
That's enough to sway any election.
Yes. Yeah, well, yeah. Well, we're definitely in for it, but you really think that Trump's going to win in spite of all this, huh?
Well, I wrote this, I don't know what resources they have. Of course, it doesn't really matter. California and New York,
they're gone.
And none of these national polls make it mean anything also. Because they can, cast as many fraudulent ballots as they want in New York and California. It doesn't affect the actual vote, which is in the Electoral College. And I think that Trump will take measures that will make it difficult for them in the other states. But the basic reason is I think it's transparent. You can't call Trump a lunatic, a racist, psychotic, and whatever else they've thrown at him 4 years running and have it have any credibility at the end of the 4 years. And I think that there's a tremendous movement now in the Black community. Well, the first several chapters of my book, BLITZ, Trump Will Smash the Left and Win, are about Trump's appeal to Black America. And that's why they hate him, and that's why they call him a racist, because every 4 years they call a Republican candidate a racist. They did it to Bush. They did it to McCain. They did it to Romney. And they do it because the Democrats, I don't know if they are conscious of this, but they have to be aware that they are the racist party. Everything is about race for them. Identity politics makes race primary. You judge people by their skin color first and their gender and sexual orientation. The individual disappears. But Democrats also run every major inner city in America.
That they do.
All the crime centers, the poverty centers, the school systems that
COVID-19
teach
centers.
The kids to read and write and destroy their lives at the outset. Those are all 100% run by the Democratic Party. And the Democratic Party does nothing to change this because the teacher unions are representing the adults, not the students.
Feeding off the system.
Yeah, so of course. I think Kanye West is the revolutionary who broke that lock that they have. And you see it. I mean, the Biden comment, if you don't vote for me, you're not Black, or you hate Black.
Yeah.
Feels the Democrat mentality.
Oh, yeah.
They're racists.
Among other things.
It's the most important racist institution in America.
Yeah.
Their 1619 project, which wants to shift the American founding from 1776 and its clarion call for freedom for all human beings are created equal and with a God-given right to liberty. That revolutionary statement, they want to obliterate it and make the founding 1619.
Which is ridiculous.
20 Africans were brought as slaves to Virginia. The problem with that is slavery was illegal in Virginia in 1619, and the 20 who were brought were indentured servants, as was most of the mostly white labor force in Virginia at the time. But it's just a travesty to shift it. And there were English colonies that weren't American. America was created in 1776.
Yes.
But, the New York Times is a racist rag, and this project is racist. And, of course, it's going to be in all the schools. It's already in 3,500 schools in 50 states because of the communist teacher unions. And for anybody shocked by that description. I was brought up in the communist movement. I know what a communist looks and thinks like. But I think it should be pretty obvious anyway who these people are.
Oh, we know. We know, everybody knows what they are, and you shall know them by their deeds and what they're about. I think the whole thing is worn thin. You know, there's that old that meme that's up there that said, nobody called Trump a racist until he ran for president. Anyway, David, thank you so much for coming on. We will talk to you again soon. Great luck on the upcoming book. And of course, as always, you can find David's work over on frontpagemag.com, extensive writing, and there's a link to the Amazon pre-order page in the show notes of this interview. Again, thank you so much, David. We'll talk to you soon.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.